Guess what's coming next? The news on 3. And TV3's viewing tonight is brought to you by...
Tonight, the Alliance Party holds together despite apparent defections. Dunedin's Cook Island community is shattered by a fatal house fire. And church leaders move to the pulpit to speak for social justice. Good evening. The Alliance has refuted reports that the 5-party grouping is beginning to break up after ceasing negotiations with Tauranga MP Winston Peters. It's understood the Liberal Party's Gilbert Miles has left the Alliance, but leader Jim Anderton says morale's high and they're preparing to contest every seat in the general election.
You know, I don't want to waste my time or get into some slanging match like this, but...
In the hot seat again, but still calling the tune. The Alliance has severed ties with him, but today Winston Peters was giving Radio Pacific listeners a hint of what he might be planning.
But I'm saying that one new movement has a far greater potential to win in November than a loose alliance of 5 disparate groups.
The Alliance Council met again today amid reports the group is coming apart at the seams. Gilbert Miles was conspicuous by his absence. TV3's been told he's already left the Alliance and other Liberals may follow.
Our Liberal colleagues are perfectly entitled to consider their position. They are under the most difficulty, no question about that. But I have to say that the Liberal Party is here today, welcomed in the Alliance, working constructively with us.
The Alliance admits a dozen of their candidates are still considering their position, while Gilbert Miles will talk with Winston Peters.
Mr. Miles has called me, and I haven't had a chance to call him back because of our different movements. But I can't answer that until, you know, we've had a chat about things.
As a political party vehicle, the Alliance has suffered a few dents this weekend. As well, there could be more defections from the Liberal Party quarter and an even more bumpy road ahead when Winston Peters announces his intentions a week from today. Bob McNeil, 3 National News.
2 Cook Islanders, 1 adult and a young girl, died this morning in Dunedin when the house they were in became engulfed in flames. Several other members of the family escaped the inferno.
The Sunday morning silence was broken with screams for help and searing flames as the house burned on. When neighbours discovered the fire around 8 this morning, it was too late to help.
All I saw when I came out was flames shooting out of the window and people standing up there like yelling and crying and wondering what was going on, and next thing the fire engines, they arrived up.
Most of the inhabitants of the house, a Cook Islands family, managed to escape, but for a young girl and a friend of the family, there was no hope. They were consumed by the flames.
The natural father of the deceased was crying outside and said, my daughter, and I was asking, where is she? And he said was upstairs. But I only wish I could, but I can't. It's impossible to get up there.
Firefighters did their best to put out the blaze, but maximum damage had already been done. The father of the little girl who died and his family are being comforted by relatives and friends. Fire safety officers and police have sifted through the debris for signs of what started the inferno, but the sheer intensity of the blaze may have eliminated many clues. A coroner's inquest will be held into the deaths as a matter of course. Rose Daly, 3 National News.
Fire has also destroyed a house in the Kapiti Coast township of Paikakariki, just north of Wellington. The fire broke out just after 3 o'clock this morning. 2 people were sleeping inside the house at the time, but managed to escape. Flames spread quickly through the old wooden home, and it took firefighters some time to get the fire under control. Fire safety officers are still assessing the cause of the blaze. Damage in America's Mississippi River floods has been estimated at $1 billion, and the water's still rising. On both sides of the river, local communities are battling to save their homes and property.
The rains just keep coming. This time in Kansas City, nearly 8 inches fell here overnight. Emergency officials rescued stranded residents from rooftops and carried some from their homes. Flash floods filled some Kansas City streets. And all that rain is going to make its way down the swollen Missouri River, making things even worse for Jefferson City, Missouri, already inundated by floodwaters. There is nothing on the Missouri to hold the water back. In St. Louis suburbs, residents are bracing for those additional floodwaters, furiously building sand levees to try to hold the waters back. Some levees have already given way here. The suburb of Limay was filled with water from a sewer canal last night, as officials had predicted. Worried they're going to see worse flooding in coming days, officials have been going door to door here, warning more evacuations may become necessary.
In East Hannibal, state prisoners are working side by side with local farmers, trying to hold off the river with sandbags, burlap sacks, and picket fences. 300 National Guardsmen are here too. They brought shovels and life jackets just in case. 3 other levees on this stretch of the Mississippi have failed in the last 2 days, including this one in Meyer, Illinois, just 30 miles upriver from East Hannibal. 43 square miles were flooded. This levee, already weak and threatening to break, is all that stands between East Hannibal and the same fate. They will be here all night, trying to stop an ocean of water with sandbags and straw.
A warrant's been issued for the arrest of Hastings insurance salesman Ross Wilson. The Sun Alliance salesman has been identified by the Serious Fraud Office for the alleged forgery of superannuation policies involving commissions of up to $2 million. The country's churches have today issued a collective prayer for social justice. From Anglicans in Auckland to Baptists in Bluff, churches from 10 different denominations are demanding politicians become more caring. The strongest of recent church statements on politics, it's a sermon written specifically for election year.
A sermon exhorting Christians to seek Christian policies before they vote. As the government trumpets recovery, churchgoers were being told to demand the politics not only of prosperity, but compassion.
Addressing unemployment should have the same kind of priority as that accorded to addressing inflation.
In Lower Hutt, church concern was being channeled into the local food bank. In 1986, the Hutt's food bank provided 5 food parcels a month. It now gets up to 24 requests a day, none from people happy about having to ask for help.
Most feel incredibly embarrassed, humiliated and often ashamed.
And what we'd like to know is what time we have to be back to meet the army trucks.
Chris Wood not only runs the food bank, she's a Methodist deacon, today travelling the Hutt Valley in a double-decker bus collecting food supplies, but only after delivering her sermon about a lack of caring from politicians and rejecting criticisms that the church is becoming too political by far.
I think we feel so incensed by what is happening in this country at the present time that we feel that we must speak out.
Speak out and collect donations of food, doing a job she wishes she didn't have to, a job Chris Wood says wouldn't be necessary were it not for the indifference of too many politicians. John Campbell, 3 National News.
In the news ahead, UN weapons inspectors are back in Baghdad and a casino where gambling is only half the fun. Despite Iraqi intransigence, United Nations weapons inspectors are back in the country, determined to complete an unfinished assignment. Their mission to close 2 missile testing sites near Baghdad.
The latest team of UN weapons inspectors arrived in Baghdad, confident they will be able to seal the missile test sites without further Iraqi obstruction. After the Iraqis refused to allow an earlier team of inspectors to install video surveillance cameras at the 2 sites south of Baghdad, this UN team intends to travel to the sites tomorrow, sealing them off within a day. Rolf Ekéus, the head of the UN commission charged with destroying Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, has ordered the sealing of the sites while the camera issue remains unresolved. The United States has made clear the likely consequences of any further Iraqi obstructions. After the recent American cruise missile attack on Baghdad's intelligence headquarters, the US is emphasizing that any further military action against Saddam Hussein will require new Security Council authorization.
More than 100 people have died in continuing violence in black townships in South Africa. Despite political talks aimed at ending the slaughter, at night the townships become killing fields.
Today's attack follows a week of extraordinary levels of violence around Johannesburg.
Extraordinary even by South African standards. Bodies of men and women hacked to death, destroying any hope that may have come from the meeting 2 weeks ago between the ANC's Nelson Mandela and Inkatha's Chief Buthelezi. Burning cars and burnt-out houses have left the residents of Thokoza Township homeless and desperate. Much of their venom is directed against the police, who routinely arrive in the township in the morning when the damage has been done, and leave again at night when the massacres start all over again. It's a pattern people have got used to. A dead body in the street no longer calls even for comment. In this, the week when they should have been beginning their election campaign, the leadership has instead been visiting victims of the violence. Many of those victims are now losing heart that elections can put a stop to the killing.
The fate of 1,500 illegal Chinese immigrants crowded aboard 7 rusting ships off the Mexican coast remains in doubt. There's no decision yet on where they can land.
The Coast Guard says the gathering of ships is unprecedented, with those on board crammed into every available space.
I'd estimate about 75, maybe 100.
Washington hoped Mexico would land and then repatriate the illegals to avoid delays under US asylum laws. Mexico said no. The other end of the American dream, $5 million a year, tax-free for 20 years. Schoolteacher Les Robbins has the winning ticket in the Powerball lottery. He's avoiding publicity, but neighbours have some advice for him.
Live it up.
To really live it up, Las Vegas has the latest in resort complexes. The Luxor takes its name from ancient Egypt, but the attractions are pure 20th century. When you're bored with gambling, you can simply take a trip. Paul Campbell, 3 National News.
After the break, a Kiwi cricketer amongst the runs in Holland. The Silver Ferns go after another world title, and Manu Samoa go on a scoring spree. Manu Samoa had a lively time on Athletic Park this afternoon when they beat New Zealand Universities by 48 points to 10. The Samoans scored 7 tries to 1, with halfback Junior Tonu'u nabbing a hat-trick.
A few minutes into the game and centre Mark Ellis copped a high tackle worth 3 points to his side. Universities did all the early attacking until, against the run of play, To'o Vaenga timed his interception to perfection.
Beautifully read by To'o Vaenga. That'll be a 7-pointer.
That try snapped the tourists out of their lethargy to put Universities under enormous pressure.
There's a try.
Just before half-time, the tourists were in again to lead 29-3. After the break, the Samoans went to sleep for a time, and the Universities were rewarded for not giving up. But the reply was swift, and Junior Tonu'u grabbed his 3rd try.
Facts have shown they can do things. Oh, another intercept. To'o Vaenga read it so well again. You could see it happening.
Western Samoa finally running out winners by 48 points to 10. That means the tourists have scored 248 points in just 3 matches, with only 10 recorded against them. Tony Cyprian, 3 National News.
The Silver Ferns leave tonight on a journey that could take them back to the top of world netball. The team are heading for the World Games in Holland, where they'll be seeking to avenge last year's heavy defeat by world champs Australia.
Some fancy footwork by the Silver Ferns as they prepare to defend their World Games title. They see the Games as part of their build-up for the World Championships in 1995.
They really set the scene for World Champs, so the teams really want to do a lot of work and so that they can follow on with a really good performance at World Champs. And for us, we have the title, so that's another really important aspect of it.
Coach Lynn Parker's been working individually with the players over the last month. Now they've come together as a team eager to avenge last year's 3-test whitewash by Australia. This time, they won't be in awe of the Aussies.
I think last year we probably were a bit, but this year it's just going to be one game at a time, and Australia's the last game, so we'll focus on them at the end, I think.
Before that, though, they have to get past Jamaica.
Especially with the addition of Cricket McDonald, who is a couple of metres high, very accurate and notoriously hard to combat. You've got to have a real jumper against her.
The team flies out later tonight for warm-up matches in Britain and a World Games opener against Canada later this month. Bob McNeil, 3 National News.
New Zealand heavyweight boxer David Tua has added another scalp to his growing tally in the United States. This morning in Pennsylvania, Tua knocked out 33-year-old Larry Davis towards the end of the first round. It was the Aucklanders' 8th straight win in his American campaign. He returns home on Wednesday for a holiday. Alain Prost has won pole position for tomorrow morning's British Grand Prix. Success tomorrow would give the Frenchman his 50th Formula One win. But he's being pressed hard by Briton Damon Hill, who's sharing the front row of the grid with his Williams teammate.
From Damon Hill, Britain expects tomorrow. For 2 days, Hill and his Williams Renault teammate Alain Prost have jostled for pole position at Silverstone. Twice in today's intense final session, Hill bettered Prost's fastest time. The second time with only 6 minutes of the session to go. But even as Hill and his wife Georgie were celebrating, Prost was completing his final qualifying lap to reclaim first place on the grid.
I'm surprised that he managed to beat that time, but you know, it's not for nothing. He's won 3 World Championships. You know, he's obviously he's got a lot of promise, Alan has.
But what are the reported team orders at Williams that Hill must let Prost pass him if the Frenchman has a chance of winning?
We have no team orders. We had a lot of speculation this week and even today, which is not very nice because it's bad for the team, it's bad for everybody, even for Damon.
Michael Schumacher remains a threat to the domination of the Williams team. Schumacher emerged unharmed after losing control of his Benetton and will start the race from 3rd place on the grid.
Roger Bradley may not be a household name in New Zealand cricket, but in Holland, where he lives, he's a bit of a star. He rattled up an unbeaten 88 today to help the Netherlands to a surprise 7-wicket win over an English 11. And back at Lord's, Derbyshire fans had lots to celebrate as their side won their first ever one-day final.
Before the start, the bookmakers had installed Lancashire as the shortest-priced favourites in years, a judgment which looked wholly justified as Derbyshire got away to a disastrous start. Barnett, one of those, losing his wicket rashly. And when Adams followed in similar manner, the top 4 had gone for only 66. But then Dominic Cork rescued the match from anti-climax, carrying the attack to Lancashire in a fashion suggesting potential as a test all-rounder. With the equally enterprising O'Gorman at the other end, a priceless 109 runs were added for the 5th wicket, a stand which, in the closing stages, allowed Cork to launch a late assault that carried him to 92 and Derbyshire to the sort of challenging total which earlier had seemed beyond them. Chasing 253, Lancashire too lost an early wicket to Adams's instinctive catch. The recovery in the hands of Speke and Atherton was effective, if rarely spectacular, and they were beginning to lag behind the asking rates when Speke played on to Mortensen. Neil Fairbrother's improvisation got Lancashire going again, but after a stoppage for rain, he was to lose the solid support of Atherton. Even so, he continued to blaze away, ignoring the regular fall of wickets at the other end and a required run rate of daunting proportions. Almost single-handedly, he propelled the game to a compelling finale that required consultations over earlier scoring rates and, in a frenetic final over, calls to the 3rd umpire to turn down appeals for a run-out. In the end, unlike Fairbrother, Lancashire fell agonisingly short as Derbyshire's ecstatic supporters swamped the ground to celebrate their first Benson & Hedges Cup win.
Just ahead, 3 national weather and the Queenstown Winter Festival gets topped off with a big bang. It was picture perfect in most places today, apart from some light showers about Gisborne. Well, the good news is that the anticyclone in the Tasman is actually getting bigger. There is, however, an easterly flow over Northland, bringing cloud and a few light showers. 14 degrees still the popular bet for tomorrow's north. That is Whangarei, Hamilton and Rotorua, with Auckland and Tauranga 1 up on 15. It will be 13 degrees in the capital. Cooler down south with 12 degrees in Nelson, Blenheim and Christchurch, 11 for Dunedin and down to 9 degrees in Queenstown. There'll be a few light showers east of Northland, but elsewhere fine weather with early frosts and light winds. There's a 20% chance of rain for Wellington. On the east coast of the South Island, there'll be morning cloud about Christchurch and Marlborough, which will clear. Some drizzle about Fiordland with freshening northwesterlies. Heavy frosts for Otago and Southland. Finally tonight, a population explosion in Queenstown as tourists flock to the annual Winter Festival. It's a big money spinner for the adventure town, delivering a week of hilarious antics and serious fun.
Fireworks and famous people. The stars are in Queenstown for the Winter Festival. The 9 days of partying started on the slopes, with the celebrities taking the challenge to at least stay upright. But it was our cameraman Brian Nelson who faced the music when Simon Barnett lost control.
No, look, I feel really embarrassed. I am very sorry. And you do a fantastic job, and I do apologise.
TV3's Neil Walker and Belinda Todd showed they're no slouch on skis, and Ken Rutherford was bowled over by the experience. Back on the cricket pitch, unorthodox fielding conditions caught Rod Latham on the run and Gavin Larson in the air. It takes a bit of skill to master the dog sled races, but try telling the dogs that. To prove this festival's not only for the dogs, there's a $5,000 prize for being first home. And this contestant knows the way. He's won 3 years in a row.
It's hard work, but it's worth it.
Worth it too to the thousands of other festival goers who are living it up in Queenstown. Debbie Allett, 3 National News.
1 hour from now on 2020, what it means to live directly under the ozone hole. And 5 sisters finally get to tell their story of their father's sexual violations. I'm Louise Wallace. Join me at 7:30 for those stories and more right here on 3. Until then, have a good evening.
Now for the other big news. Tonight's programs are brought to you by